Sanatan Dharma to diseases like dengue and malaria, calling for its eradication at a conference that was titled Sanatan Eradication Conference. But in Tamil Nadu, where the DMK is in power, instead of an FIR on the hate speech itself, there was an FIR instead on BJP IT Cell head Amit Malviya, who questioned the speech. Even till this date, no FIR has been registered against Udhayanidhi Stalin in the state where the comments were made. DMK has also not left any opportunity to defend the remarks, saying that caste divides under Sanatan Dharma need to be eradicated and therefore the statement had nothing wrong. Now, Uday himself has refused to apologize as well. Ahead of the next assembly elections, this is the second such court setback to DMK's ultra-heightened anti-Sanatan pitch, even if they cloak it as Dravidian politics. First was the Deepam order by multiple benches, and now a rap on its eradicate Sanatan speech. Is this going to have an impact on ground as well? But more importantly, is the law the same for everyone, or does power decide who will face the law and who gets a free pass? Will parties that claim to stand for all and against hate in this country not have to have a duty to stand up here as well? We'll take that and more to our guest joining us in just a bit. So first up, coming up on Plain Speak is that Sanatan slander row. It seems to be backfiring for the DMK. Will it have an impact as far as electoral fortunes are concerned is a big question. Coming up also on the show, the Supreme Court wraps the government and agencies over exploitative airfare. Later on the show, we'll also get you the latest in this will they, won't they saga that is playing out as far as Bangladesh's participation in the T20 World Cup in India is concerned. But first up, a complaint was filed in September 2023 against BJP IT Cell head Amit Malviya, accusing him of distorting the speech made by Udhayanidhi Stalin and a speech that incited communal enmity, or his statements that incited communal enmity. What is the Madras High Court's view on this? They didn't mince any words and said that it was Udhayanidhi Stalin whose remark amounts to hate speech, and an appropriate word for such a call is genocide. Mind you, these are court words, not really political opposition. The FIR was registered against Malviya on the charge of provocating with the intent to cause riot. What does the court say? The court says in its observation that Malviya was a victim of the initial hate speech and was merely defending his faith. Malviya was also booked on the charge of promoting enmity on the grounds of religion. The Madras High Court today said that the person who initiated the hate speech remains scot-free in the state. But the very DMK who has turned a blind eye in this case, and its ally Congress, who see no red in this case, are the very proponents of action on hate speech. Let me bring you some examples. In March 2024, DMK filed a complaint with the Election Commission against Nirmala Sitharaman, claiming hate and defamation over her remark alleging swindling of temples by a particular party, hinting at the DMK in Tamil Nadu. The very same month, DMK also filed a complaint with the Election Commission against Prime Minister after he claimed that opposition is insulting Hinduism during a campaign speech. He was in fact referring to the speech made by Udhayanidhi Stalin himself. So there was a counter FIR on that, but not on the speech itself. In May 2024, Congress filed a complaint with the poll panel after Prime Minister claimed that Congress would hand more wealth to infiltrators if they were to come to power during a Banswara campaign speech. Congress also filed a complaint against UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath after he called the Congress manifesto an attempt to implement Sharia law and Taliban rule. Remember, all of those statements that DMK and Congress sought an FIR and a complaint on were political barbs. Udhayanidhi Stalin's speech is not really political or against a political party or a manifesto. It is against a belief system itself and the majority belief system in this country. But Udhayanidhi Stalin has been brazen. First, he made the comments against Sanatan Dharma, and then he went on to brazen it out, saying he hasn't said anything wrong and therefore will not take back his remark. He even went on to say, mind you, that he will not apologize, even if the court asks him to. So where is this brazenness coming from? Is it because he's immune to action? Is it because in Tamil Nadu nobody can touch him because he is from the DMK, a sitting minister and the heir apparent of the party as well? And is this not exposing hypocrisy and double standards on hate speech by these parties?
சனாதன எதிர்ப்பு மாநாடு என்று போடாமல் சனாதன ஒழிப்பு மாநாடு என்று நீங்கள் கொசு, டெங்கு காய்ச்சல், மலேரியா, கொரோனா இதையெல்லாம் நம்ம எதிர்க்கக்கூடாது. ஒழித்து கட்ட வேண்டும்.
Satyamev Jayate. Truth always prevails.
Sanatana Dharma means, Manu Dharma means it should be killed. It is the killing of the Dharma, not the people.
This is an erroneous judgment. So we'll have to see what legal course is going to be taken.
Let's go across to our guest joining us. Kalyan Raman is leader of the BJP in Tamil Nadu. Salem Dharanidharan, spokesperson of the DMK. S. Muralidharan, political analyst, and Shekhar, a senior journalist, also with us. Salem, I begin with you. You know, this is the second such judgment that has come in against what you believe is right. You're still defending it. Today also, the statements from the DMK spokespersons are defending. In fact, one strange defense that has come from one of your party leaders is that all that Udhayanidhi Stalin talked about was killing of dharma, not of people. I don't understand how that is a defense. Is it fair for an elected leader, someone in his position of responsibility, to even talk about killing a dharma just because you don't like it?
You know what I find it more appealing? 27 months after he spoke, whenever there's a minute possibility for this debate to be taken up, all the channels take it up, but no one talks about the air pollution in Delhi. No one speaks about the fact that access to drinking water, India ranks 120th or 122nd. India ranks the lowest in even press freedom. We don't speak about that. Your youth and unemployment is 45%. We don't speak about all that.
We speak about all of that.
Hate speech. The media is the one that is trying to do hate speech, falling into the propaganda of the BJP. All
But sir,
BJP spokesmen, the only thing they can say is religion.
Media is not calling it hate speech alone, although I don't think there is a doubt in that. But court is now saying that this is not just hate speech, this is akin to calling for a genocide. These are court statements.
Wait, I will explain clearly. I have also written an article on this. I have spoken at least 100 debates on this in the last 27 months. I have no problem with it. But unfortunately, equally, if I could have spoken also on debates on upliftment of the country, development, I would have been more happy. But I will explain very clearly. The whole aspect is any elected representative should thrive for equality. What is that the Deputy Chief Minister wanted was equality within the Hindu religion. I will ask a question. The former President of India, Ramnath Kovind, when he went to the Puri temple, he was not allowed to go inside. True or false? True. Can people of all castes become priests? Can a poor Dalit in Uttar Pradesh become a priest of a temple? So we want equality within Hindu religion. It was spoken for Hindu religion. When it comes to the court observation, it was related to Amit Malviya's, where they had acquitted him. They had their own cognizance. I don't want to get into it. But for a justice to comment on that, I think is erroneous. Simply because it's freedom of speech. It is not against calling for eradication of any single human being. We are a peaceful party. We are a pro.
But how can you even call for eradicating of a dharma? I don't understand. That's the argument. How can you even ask that? It's not fair.
If dharma is adharma, then you'll have to ask if there are aspects within Sanatan Dharma, we have quoted the page numbers also, within which it calls for classification of people based on birth.
So you oppose that? You oppose that? You have to be careful in the way you put your point across.
Always been explained.
You cannot say eradicate Sanatan Dharma itself and then stick to your guns for 2 years and continue to defend the indefensible. You have a problem with caste system. Please go ahead and talk about it.
If you call adharma as dharma, then he'll have to call for that dharma to be eradicated, whereby people are differentiated based on birth. Make it very clear. We are only against people being differentiated based on birth.
You can be against that, sir, but there is a way in which your points have to be espoused.
Why can't a Dalit not become a priest in a temple? Why can't a Dalit not become a priest in a
temple?
temple?
There are enough and more movements to ask for any and every person.
You are not answering me. You are the BJP spokesperson.
But one second, sir. I am not discussing whether Hinduism is good according to you or not. That's not the point of debate.
I am not bringing Hinduism as a polytheistic religion. So it's a very subjective understanding of what Hinduism
everything is subjective. Everything is subjective, and therefore saying things like we need to eradicate Sanatan Dharma, equating it to malaria, dengue, corona, you still don't find a problem in it. You can do all the great work that you're espousing. You can do that without hate speech.
Your understanding of Hinduism will be different from my understanding, or person one and person two. That is the beauty of the Hindu religion
I
itself.
get that, sir. I am saying
Right,
there has to be a
right,
way in which
right.
you mount your opposition to any religious practice.
No, Shivani, you're not letting me speak. I'm saying if there is there is one. So the basic philosophical difference between others and the BJP is that they think only their version of Hinduism is Hinduism. It's no. It is one version. It's a polytheistic religion. But having fair to go further and say if there is an aspect in by somewhere which calls about that Dalits can't become priests in a temple, that rule which says Dalits can't become priests in a temple has to be eradicated.
Do you know
Read it
that
in
there
that
is a
aspect.
Dalit
The
person?
rule
Sir,
has to be eradicated. The rule has
you
to be
could have
eradicated.
said that and it wouldn't have been a problem. You could have said caste system should
That
be
is exactly
eradicated.
what was said.
It wouldn't have been a problem. Not the first person to say it. There are many, many reformers who have talked about it. There are many, many Hindus who talk about it. It is not the issue is not caste system. The issue is, espousing your belief
So where
as
does the caste system
eradicating
come from?
Sanatan Dharma
No,
itself.
then
Sanatan
where
Dharma
does the caste
espouses
system
many,
come
many
from?
things. You cannot
Where
say
does the
that
caste system come from?
it can only, when you're talking about caste system, you're talking about Sanatan Dharma. That is also not a fair
Where does the caste
classification.
system come from?
Kalyan Raman wants to come in. Yes,
So
Kalyan
underneath
Raman, the
that, where does the caste
DMK
system come from?
is
Or the
now,
root of it,
this
the
is
root
the
of
second such case where they're refusing to even bow down to the wisdom of a court. Deepam Rao was one where they, after multiple benches, they said, we are not going to listen to them. What we know is right. We are going to do it according to ourselves. Law and order was the issue here, there. In this case, they're saying our belief and our thinking was something else, and we don't care what the court is saying. Court is erroneous, according to them.
First of all, we have to understand one factor. I'll just quote from one of the Tamil saying that Kadhiki Terima Karpura Vasana, which means whether the donkey knows the smell of camphor. The donkey is nothing but the DMK and camphor is Hindu Dharma. Okay, now I have one question for Dharlidharan before we get into the next levels.
I can make
In the
BJP
Melmalenur temple, which is one of the most famous temples of Tamil Nadu, in Kaligambal temple, which is one of the most famous temples in Tamil Nadu, Payani temple, one of the most famous temples in Tamil Nadu, who are the priests, whether Saran Dharnidharan knows or not. I am talking about Tamil Nadu. I am not talking about the rest of India. Whether Saran Dharnidharan knows who are the temple priests, whether it is Brahmins or somebody else. Yeah, can you answer straight to the question?
In Tamil Nadu,
do
we
you
have
know
a
or you don't
legislation there.
know?
People of all
Yes or
castes
no?
can be priests because of my leader. Because of my leader, people of all castes
No.
can
I am
become
talking
Tamil Nadu.
about hundreds
Because
of
my
years
leader.
of
But I
tradition.
will ask one more question.
No. Don't try.
You will let
Don't
me
fool
speak.
around.
I am
Salam
not fooling around.
Dharnidharan,
Why
just
will I
answer
fool
to
around?
these
The
three
BJP
questions.
will fool around, sir.
You don't know.
Only the BJP
Let me
will
tell
fool
you, you
around.
don't know.
One
Only the
second,
BJP
let's
Let
not
me
will
tell
speak
you,
over
fool
each
you
other.
don't know
Salim
what you are talking
Dharnidharan,
about.
Salim, let's please allow other spokesperson their time. I'll
I
come
asked
back to you.
three temple question.
Who is he my teacher to ask
I
questions?
asked
It's not
for three
fairness
temples
that's
whether he
happening
knows.
here. It is
This
not a
has been a
quiz.
tradition
It's
for
not a quiz that is
1,000 years.
happening.
More
I
than
am
1,000
asked
years,
one
this is a
question to
practice.
him.
Now tell me,
I am asked one
in
question. Why are
Kaligamba,
there
in
no
Mel
Salim, one
Malayanur
second,
temple,
please. Let's not do it
Why
like
are
this.
there no
Please,
Dalits are
let's
the
not speak
fishermen
over each other.
community.
Why
Please,
no Dalit
Kalyan.
is in Gujarat?
No, this guy wants to escape. This guy wants to escape. I will not let him escape. This guy wants to escape. In Mel Malayanur temple, it is a fishing community which is the priest. In Kaligambal temple, it is the Vishwakarma community who are the priests. In Parni, which is one of the greatest temples of Tamil Nadu, the Pandaram community are the priests. These guys don't know anything. The donkey called it DMK does not know anything about the tradition, value system, rituals, traditions, nothing. They don't know anything and they want to eradicate something about which they don't know. Whether he knows whether Honorable Ramnath Kovindji objected to it, whether he wanted to get into the sanctum sanctorum, he follows the tradition. He doesn't want to enter into the sanctum sanctorum. How dare you say that he was stopped? He didn't have to go. He is not following certain procedure. He didn't have to go. Whereas in other temples,
Why
one
should
can
he not?
go
Why
and
should
wash
others go? Why should he
the
not go?
lingam of Kashi. Anybody of any community. Do you know that? Who translated Telugu Ramayana? Do you know that? She came from the Potter community. Do you know that? You don't know simply anything.
Exactly. He
When
made
you
my
don't know
argument
anything,
very
just
easy.
keep your mouth shut.
Okay,
Kalyan Raman
let's
As
come to
simple
the
as
subject.
that.
Once again, let's come to the subject.
You
They're
don't
saying
know.
this-
That
They're
is
saying
like
that.
Just don't talk
Once again,
about
only
something
Kalyan
you don't
Raman will
know.
have, please. They're saying that they said nothing
You
wrong.
simply
The
don't have
court
any
is
right to
wrong in
talk about
understanding
anything
what
that you don't
Udhayanidhi
know.
Stalin said.
Okay.
Kalyan Raman, The DMK is very clear. They're sticking to their guns. They're saying they said nothing wrong.
No, the court has given a big slap on their face. And this guy runs for cover to the Supreme Court seeking a stay. See, I have so many cases against me in Tamil Nadu. I am facing it. I never went for a quash. I never went for a stay. Whether Udhayanidhi had the guts to go for a trial? Can he file an FIR against himself before any of the police station in Tamil Nadu? And why do you file a case against somebody who made a comment based on your comment?
Exactly. So the
How
issue
dare you
here
do
is that. Issue
That is
here
what
is
the
that
court had
only.
questioned it.
Muralidharan, Mr.
And
Muralidharan, the issue.
you shamelessly say that you have not lost anything same face. Shameless fellows.
Yes, Muralidharan, the issue is exactly this. There is an unlevel playing field in how people can express their opinion or their complaint against the speech itself. You know, DMK government doesn't leave any opportunity to file FIRs against their political opponents and their words. But in Tamil Nadu, there is not a single FIR against Udhayanidhi Stalin. How am I to believe that they're at least for equal law for everybody? Clearly, Udhayanidhi Stalin is being shielded in Tamil Nadu.
See, we have a fascist government, Shivani, and it's a draconian government, and that's the reason all this is happening. Now, let me answer my friend Salem Dharmidhar, who spoke about, we have not said anything wrong. We can why not a Dalit become a priest in a Hindu temple? I want to ask him, can a Dalit become a priest or a pastor in a Roman Catholic church? No. Mr. Udhayanidhi Stalin is a converted Christian.
No, I completely object to this. This is nonsense.
Let's not make any
This is hate
personal
speech.
comments, please.
He's
Mr.
not
Muralidharan, let's
converted
not
to
make
any
any personal
religion.
comments.
How does he know? What is this nonsense of speaking someone converted to some religion?
He's a Christian.
This absolute preposterous nonsense, which I will not allow.
You don't even
What are the debates that you are allowing to happen, Shivani, that someone converted?
No, I don't want any personal comments against anyone. But Salem, I reject your opposition. Salem, your opposition has been registered. Please allow other speakers to have their say. Don't interrupt in between. Your objection has been noted. I've objected to it myself. Yes, Mr. Muralidharan, don't make personal comments against anybody who can't defend himself.
No, Shivani, not a personal comment. He himself said that my wife is a Christian, I am converted a Christian. It's a statement by Udhayanidhi.
He cannot say anything like that. Muralidharan, I'm saying, accusing him of converted Christianity.
Okay, well, can you move on, please? What is your point here? 1 second, Salem, please, 1 second. What is your point here?
Stop twisting things, my friend. Can Mr. A. Raja become DMK president? I want to ask.
If the cause is what, anyone can become DMK
Can Mr.
president.
A. Raja be
Anyone
given a
can become DMK
constituency
president if
which
the
is
cause
not
is
a
what?
reserved constituency? Why are you fielding him only in OT? You please answer all this. Can a Dalit from Tamil Nadu become the pope? My friends, don't twist things. When you don't have, just stop, blabbering like this.
Anyone
That
can
too on
become
national
DMK
television.
president. Anyone can become DMK president. Even you join my party, the card does not, you can become the president. It's about the card as wanting to become.
1 second. Salem, not like this. Please don't do this. Mr.
Are you not
Muralidharan,
laughing
Mr.
within you?
Muralidharan, Mr. Muralidharan, your point seems to be that there is, this very radical approach by Dravidian parties, particularly DMK, when it comes to quote-unquote ills of Hindu Dharma, right? But they don't focus on other religions as much, who may also have equal number of problems or even same problems that you're pointing out. That's your point, right?
That's only the point. The point is, there are hundreds of crimes which is happening in Tamil Nadu. You take about this FIR you spoke about, there are hundreds of things which is going wrong. But the state is not concerned. That's why it's a draconian rule. It's a fascist government. There are hundreds of YouTubers and people who are dissented against this government has been put behind bar with false cases. That's what the police force is doing. It's busy doing it. And the police force is under the chief minister. He should be questioning all that. And adding to the joke, Shivani, we spent hundreds of crores in making one park. And that park has become exclusive, walking area only for the VIPs, the ministers, the chief minister, and his friends like some senior journalists. And this is what people are questioning. So this is a fascist, draconian government which needs
the
to
law
go
has not been
because it
applied
keeps insulting
equally,
Hindu Dharma.
because if it was being applied equally, there are multiple FIRs on not just this conference in question, but also Udhayanidhi Stalin's speech elsewhere in the country. In Tamil Nadu, there is not even a single FIR. I want to go across to Shekhar Iyer. Let me quote to you, in Bengaluru there is a complaint on the basis of a complainant who says they belong to the scheduled tribe community and follow Sanatan Dharma. Derogatory statement made by Udhayanidhi Stalin has defamed him, his religion and the people belonging to the Hindu faith. Now this is the sentiment of the public, but in Tamil Nadu, nobody is allowed to, nobody is allowed to address this sentiment because no complaint can be filed against Udhayanidhi Stalin. The court is asking, how come the maker of the hate speech has gone scot-free?
Indeed, what has been happening is, what they have been for a long time, DMK has been deliberately making out that Sanatana Dharma, the expression which is known all over the country, is the actual original description of the eternal value and the belief system and the spiritual tradition of this country. Hinduism is a construct which came post-colonial period, where this as ism, Hinduism. This is something that has been. That is why in the north, or at least all over other places, Sanatan Dharma basically means the eternal religion, the one that doesn't have a beginning or an end. Set of values that. See, this is very clear.
Let's not confuse it. Sanatan Dharma in colloquial language and understanding refers to Hinduism today. They're not divorced from each other.
But DMK has been deliberately saying that when they refer to Sanatan Dharma, they are referring to caste atrocities. There is no person in his senses who is going to defend any atrocity. Of course, it is another matter. DMK government has failed to check caste atrocities in Tamil Nadu. That's another story. But what has happened is, deliberately Udhayanidhi said it in that September 2023 function, which was organized by a left MP, by a Marxist MP. And he suggested, why do you want why do you want abolition? You go for eradication. And I'll tell you something, that was a time when election campaign was thick in Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh. BJP made a big issue of it and Congress had to send an SOS to Stalin to stop these statements because it is hurting them. And finally it did hurt them because BJP made an issue that by this Congress party is aligned with DMK. And neither Sonia Gandhi, nor Rahul Gandhi, Priyanka Gandhi, anybody condemned Stalin's statement, Udhayanidhi Stalin's statement.
Yeah.
And that proved very costly.
No, actually, Priyanka Khadge supported Stalin's statement.
And Shivani, after that, Stalin had to tell his son as well as other DMK leaders to pipe down. This is what happened. Now, several FIRs have been filed. Udhayanidhi moved a Supreme Court also that all FIRs all over the country be clubbed together. There is a background to this, and what today has happened is that whatever Udhayanidhi said there is indeed a hate speech. So they have got exposed, and everybody knows that in Tamil Nadu, and these people, not only DMK, even the parent organization, the Dravida Kazhagam, they also do the same thing. No, we are talking of that. But in effect, what they have been doing is attacking Hindu practices. And similarly with the Deepami controversy, because there is an anxiety to show to their vote bank, particularly minority vote bank, look, we can do all this. So we are your best saviors. And this Tripura Kundram Deepam controversy happened because they wanted to tell Muslims, look, we are preventing another Ayodhya here. When the issue of Dargah was never in dispute matter.
Yeah.
But DMK hyped it up.
So is this all purely because you want to send a message to a certain vote bank? There is hypocrisy that people can point out. There is unlevel playing field when the law is applied, and also there is an inordinate attention only on one faith and not on other faiths. Salib.
See, there's already 3 people against, so against 1, and you also interrupt me, which is 4:1, which means when I speak, I need not be interrupted. I have to be given more time. I will tell you the hypocrisy of the BJP.
You were given more time.
See, again, now he's interrupting.
You were given more time also. Thank you.
See, again, if I'm interrupted, how do I speak?
Go ahead.
It's not interrupting, I'm just keeping you
Wait,
informed.
listen, first of all, panel should be equal. So, very clear, in Gujarat, temple land was 2,000 crores was given to build mall and real estate buildings. You know went to approach the High Court against the BJP government? VHP itself. That is the double standard of BJP. On the other hand, in Tamil Nadu, my government has reclaimed temple land of 4,000 crores. My leader has introduced pension Kalaniya had introduced pension for the people. He went on Dharna. Why? Because of corruption in HRNC ministry. That is the importance we have given to religion. We don't bring spirituality into politics, but we respect spirituality, every religion. Let's make it very clear. In Tamil Nadu, there is no reason to do any form of religious appeasement because there is no religious identity here. It doesn't work, which is why BJP fails miserably. All are the same, all are Tamil identity. But Kalyana Raman had today accepted the DMK and the Dravidian ideology, which says that here the caste system did not origin; it came from elsewhere. Which is all the anecdotes he gave only shows that the temples here, yes, you have people from all other castes. You go
Don't put your
to some
words
other
in my
places.
mouth.
You go
You
to some
only
other
speak
places,
your
Uttar
point,
Pradesh,
Muralidharan.
Madhya Pradesh. You go to.
You only speak your point. Don't put my words.
You go to other places.
Your
You go to
words in
some
my
other
mouth.
region. You go
Okay.
to other region. You
Don't
go to
do
other
that.
region.
Don't
You'll
fool
find
around.
people of all castes.
Don't
You'll
peddle
find
lies.
people of all castes. You won't find people of all castes as priests. So that is why I'm saying, even in Sangam literature, there is no reference to Sanatan Dharma. Let's make it very clear.
So then
That
where
is
have
how
you
we know
picked it up
stance.
from? One
There has
second.
been no
If there is no
caste-based
reference
differentiation.
to Sanatan Dharma in Sangam literature, then why do you keep attacking Sanatan Dharma?
When something doesn't exist, why does he want to eradicate
Because
it?
the caste system did not exist in
When
Tamil
something
Nadu.
is non-existing,
Then
why do you
speaking
want to
how like
eradicate it? Salam Dharnidharan.
One
he keeps
second.
speaking.
Can I, no,
He
see,
keeps-
Salim, I am requesting
You're not
everybody
letting
to
me
not
complete.
speak over
You-
each
you-
other.
you
One
just-
second,
I
Salim,
don't
there
think you're
cannot
not
be
letting me
endless
complete.
time. Can I have
Yeah.
Salim with me, please? One second. Salim, I want to understand from you. The court has now said that, see, there is hate speech that was made. The original act has not been acted upon, but you tried to act on someone who objected to the original act. Is there no responsibility of the state here to at least suo motu take cognizance, because parties like yourself stand up against hate speech? Just because this is one of your own, you are not doing your state's job.
It is not coherent at all. Who is who? One individual has filed a complaint, an FIR has been registered, and the due process was followed. That is all. If anyone wanted to file FIR on anybody in Tamil Nadu, they can go and file. That's who's going to stop them. That's about it. The free world. Whoever wants to file FIR against anybody can file. Investigation
Okay.
happen. Verdicts will be given. But I
Kalyan
will tell
Raman,
you.
I have a minute left
I will
only.
tell you. I will tell you why this is erroneous.
Yes.
Judiciary behave in a
ED
non-partisan manner, and
Oh, God.
individual ideology should not be expressed.
So you are
Opinion
accusing
to
this
leave
judge
EAD
also
I
of
am
being
not-
file
I am
one
not
FIR
second.
accusing anybody
against.
You're accusing this
giving
judge
a general
also of being
opinion.
partisan.
I am not saying anything like that. I am not saying anything like that. I'm
You've
only
said
giving a
it, but
general
you've not
advice.
said it.
I am saying for all justices, only one advice. You should be non-partisan.
So
Your
any
ideology does
judgment
not
that
matter.
comes against you, that judge is
I'm
partisan.
not saying anything. I'm generally giving an advice.
Okay.
As someone who cares for
In the
country, I can
context
give
of this
general
case,
advice.
I think we understand what you mean. So maybe there's another impeachment motion you'll move against this judge also.
No,
are you?
Why should I?
You are a chua in front of the judges.
Okay, language,
can't
please,
say all that.
language. Kalyan Raman, I have 30 seconds. I'll give them to you. Only Kalyan Raman's mic up, please. Yes.
What he is advising to the judges? What nonsense is that? He is advising to the judge. This is the typical Dravidian anarchy. Who are they to advise to the judges? You don't know anything. You talk some nonsense, and the judges come against you, slapped on your face. How dare you advise them? What kind of language is this? You people don't know anything about Sanatana Dharma or Hindu Dharma or whatever you call it as Hinduness, and you keep muttering something nonsense all the time, and somebody files a case against you across the country, you go running to the Supreme Court and you seek a solution for it, and then somebody opines about it, reacts about it, and you file an FIR.
Okay.
What is an FIR? Unless you find a prima facie case, there cannot be an FIR. Why did you file an FIR? On the basis of a legal wing president of Tiruchi, why do you file an FIR? You say that there is no case made out.
Okay.
You should not have filed
We'll
an
wait
FIR.
and
Why
see.
did you file an FIR?
If these
Why should Amit
actions
Malviya
and
go
this
before
kind
the
of
court
stance by the DMK government ahead of elections particularly could have a blowback, because this is now going only in one direction, where hate speech, even as the court says, against one is okay, but there is an overarching angst or political climate against quote-unquote hate climate in the country for when it comes to others. It cannot work like this. Then stand up equally for everyone. I'll leave it at that. I do thank our guests for joining us. Supreme Court raised concerns over rampant surges in air ticket prices today during festivals and high demand situations and said it would interfere with the unpredictable fluctuations in airlines. This is what the Supreme Court has said regarding this matter while hearing a PIL. We will definitely interfere in exploitative airfares. The court says exploitative fares happen not just during Kumbh, for example, but every festival. State's failure is there in regulating fare algorithms, and that is unacceptable. Multiple fold fare hikes deny weaker passengers safe mobility. Arbitrary and opaque pricing violates fundamental rights against Article 21. Civil Aviation Ministry must ensure transparency and passenger protection. They also went on to say that we will pass necessary orders to check these exploitative fares. Now, during the Diwali period in 2024, according to travel sites, prices for many air routes rose by as much as 25% and more. And there are many examples, especially recent examples during crises and all, where prices have even doubled or tripled. So, for example, Mumbai to Ahmedabad and Mumbai to Udaipur rose as much as 27 and 25%, while Bengaluru to Hyderabad also rose by 23%. Meanwhile, routes like Mumbai to Jammu and Bengaluru to Kolkata witnessed high fare surge as well, up to 21, 17% and more. Earlier this year, the government had taken at least one significant emergency measure, which was to curb airfare surges, primarily driven by the major operational crisis at Indigo in late 2025. The Ministry of Civil Aviation invoked its regulatory powers to impose temporary distance-based fare caps on all domestic routes to prevent any opportunistic pricing. The Directorate General of Civil Aviation set up a tariff monitoring unit to track fare movements in real time and ensure compliance around booking platforms. Aviation Minister K. Ramohan Naidu had stated that learnings from the recent crisis will be integrated into a future passenger bill of rights and new aviation legislations. The government, however, maintains that permanent price caps are not feasible in a deregulated market. We're cutting across to some live visuals that are now coming in. I'm told these are the helicopter visuals of Donald Trump, US President, who is landing in Davos or for the Davos summit. This is where his speech in a short while from now is something that the entire world is waiting for. Donald Trump is set to speech after the stage has been set by the likes of French President Emmanuel Macron. Even Canadian Prime Minister Carney's speech has been doing the rounds, talking about how rules-based order seems to be just a canard that is now crumbling. But there is a growing Europe versus US fight that is brewing on the issue of Greenland, on the issue of Trump's support to NATO or otherwise, and on the issue of tariffs, which Trump is now slapping on many countries in every passing day. So these are visuals of Trump landing in Davos. He had a bit of a late arrival because his Air Force One had to go back to US after mid-flight and then had to fly out again due to certain technical issues as far as his Air Force One is concerned. But now this is the Marine One helicopter that has touched down in Davos. So what can be expected as far as this speech is concerned? In about half an hour's time from now, Donald Trump will be speaking. As I said, this is a speech the entire world is waiting for because this standoffish position between US and NATO countries, US and Western European countries is something that is now overshadowing everything that is transpiring at Davos. There are, of course, other battles that US is fighting. There is one with Russia, there is Iran, there is China, and even India has not been spared as far as this entire global tariff is concerned. So lots that people are expecting to hear from him. But as I mentioned, what is especially of interest as far as this story is concerned is the fact that European nations have very candidly talked about how they are not going to bow down to US President Donald Trump and his ways. They have talked about that this is not the kind of treatment that they will take from America, and that they've even sent signals to the effect that, they can look at other places, other countries, they can look elsewhere if America continues to play truant on the issue of mixing geopolitical interests with economic policies like tariffs. And that is something that has become a hallmark of Donald Trump now, where his geopolitical interests, according to him, that are important, are being mixed with tariff policies. In fact, that very tariff policy in itself is under jurisdiction of the Supreme Court in the United States. We've been waiting for that judgment, whether even these tariffs are legal according to the Supreme Court in US to begin with. My colleague Zaka Jacob is joining us with more on this. Zaka, this is a speech that the entire world is waiting for.
Oh, absolutely. Not least because of the timing in which this speech is going to come, because this is the biggest friction point that we've seen between Europe and America in the last 1 year, that's since Trump came back to the White House. There have been other serious differences as well. You were talking about the tariffs, the Russia-Ukraine war, which has all now been relegated to the sidelines because Trump is unabashedly made known to the world that he wants to conquer Greenland, which is Danish territory. It's part of the Kingdom of Denmark. It's been the case for the last 300 years. And he has unabashedly, almost nakedly gone ahead and said that he's going to take it either the easy way or the hard way. So meaning either he will do it militarily or he will simply outright purchase Greenland. Remember, America had made an attempt to purchase Greenland way back in the 1800s when they offered, I think, $100 million in gold. Again, when Harry Truman was the president, again, they offered $100 million to acquire Greenland, but Greenland was not up for sale. In fact, I had spoken to a minister in Greenland just yesterday, and she said, you know, we're a small country in terms of the number of people, about 50,000 odd people. 95% of him want to have nothing to do with America. They don't want to join America. So this whole rationale that Trump has provided, which is that America needs Greenland for security reasons, she said, you know, there is already a military pact between Denmark and the United States. It was signed in 1951, basis which at one point of time, America had more than 15 military bases in Greenland at one point of time when the Cold War was at its peak. Today it has just one space station, space base really. It's called the Pacific Space Base. It's up in the northwest of Greenland. Everything else has been shut down because once the Cold War wound down, there was no need for America to spend so much money and have so many military bases and personnel out there in Greenland. So they wound up all of those 15 plus bases. One space base is left there, the Pacific Station. So clearly this rationale of, you know, there are Russian and Chinese ships off the coast of Greenland and we need it for national security reasons simply doesn't add up. I think the simple reason why Trump wants Greenland is because it's a territorial conquest. He wants to take America back to the 18th and 19th centuries. He wants to be remembered like Thomas Jefferson or James A. Polk or you know, presidents of the 18th and 19th centuries who basically went on these conquests or purchases. Much of modern-day United States was purchased either from the British or from the French or from the Mexicans. You know, modern-day California, for example, was purchased after the Mexican Cession. So I think Trump wants to be remembered as the first president, certainly after the Second World War, who expanded American territory, who conquered new land and then planted the red, white, and blue there. So I think that's his motivation. He's looking at the history books. But the problem is, for the first time in the last 1 year, you're beginning to see Europe push back against Trump. You saw that with the Danish Prime Minister Frederiksen. You saw that yesterday in the speech by Emmanuel Macron at Davos at the World Economic Forum. And you also saw that in Mark Carney's speech. A lot of people are praising Mark Carney because now the shoe is on the other foot. After Greenland, where do you think he's going to turn his sights to? He's going to turn it to Canada. He's been saying for a number of months now, since he came back to office, Canada should become the 51st state. Why? Because he wants to territorially expand the United States. And I think Trump, particularly in the last few weeks, ever since this whole abduction of Maduro happened, where I don't think even he expected that it would happen so quickly, that a sitting president was just picked up and thrown, like he was thrown in the back of a truck. He was thrown in the back of a ship and brought back to the US to face the American justice system. So I think Trump is basically telling Europe, telling the rest of the world that there is a new sheriff in town, that there are new rules that people have to play by. So he's basically taking America and the rest of the world back to an imperial era, like a 19th century era before World War I. And I think the rest of the world, you know, has to push back against it, certainly, but also has to find a way around it. And I think you're beginning to see the semblance of the first pushback against Trump from Europe. You'll hear more European leaders today and tomorrow, and you will hear that sense of, we're not living in a monarchy anymore. We're not, kowtowing to kings anymore. You will hear that. As far as Trump's speech is concerned, it's going to be, a superlative advertisement. All right, he's just come out, I believe. Yeah, we can see the pictures of him coming out. He's flown via chopper. He landed in Zurich about an hour ago, and he's flown via chopper to Davos. I'm given to understand his scheduled time for the speech was 7 p.m. Looks like he'll make it for the speech at 7 p.m. There was one other engagement that he had prior to the speech, but looks like that's been cancelled. There was a lot of drama with Air Force One as well. It took off. It went through, I think, almost halfway through the Atlantic, and there was a glitch that happened. They had to sort of bring it back, and then he had to change planes. So I believe he's now on what is, loosely referred to as Air Force 2, but it's more like a military aircraft and less like a commercial one. So he's landed there in Davos. He's going to make that speech. We're expecting that to be on schedule at 7 p.m. India time. And his speech is going to be entirely like this superlative advertisement for what he has achieved in the last 1 year. He says this is the best presidency that America has ever had. He said, before getting on board Air Force One, America is the hottest country right now. We inherited a mess, but right now the whole world wants to come and invest in America and want to build in America. I mean, he can say whatever he wants. The fact of the matter is, the rest of the world seems to have sort of moved on from America, or certainly giving primacy to America in the global order. You look at China, for example. They just released their trade figures a few days ago. China today is sitting on a $1 trillion trade surplus. That's just monies that they have made by selling to the rest of the world. I mean, it's unbelievable. Actually, it's become make China great again rather than make America great again, because the rest of the world has basically said, if he's going to put all of these tariffs and if he's going to make products expensive, if he's going to make America a difficult market to sell in, then we'll just go to other places. And I think that's what's happened in the last year.
Zaka, his speech is going to come after, this Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney's speech, which is being touted as possibly one of the best speeches in the context of what's happening globally. Carney said that there is a rupture as far as this US-led global system of governance is concerned, and this era defined by great power competition is a fading rules-based order. He said that we are in the midst of a rupture. This is not a transition. He said the rules-based order is over. We are not going to go back to a pre-Trump normal. And I think that has set the stage of the reality of the geopolitical world that we're living in. The only question is, will enough countries be able to stand up to Trumpism or not?
Well, look, in the case of Europe, for example, I mean, what choice do they have? I mean, you can't expect the Danes to sort of just fold over and give away a part of their territory that's been with them for the last 300 years. And today it's Greenland. Tomorrow he can, say Moldova is part of American territory. He can say anything. So I think it has got to a point where Europe has now realized, and you look at Ursula von der Leyen's speech yesterday, where she said, look, we arrived at a trade agreement with the United States, and we were going to ratify it. The European Parliament was going to ratify it. But now Trump has suddenly imposed another, 10% on top of the 15% that we were supposed to have negotiated and arrived at. For the last year, they were waiting to sort of consummate this deal, and then Trump has suddenly just blown everything out of the water because he can, and he felt so. And he wanted to use that trade as a weapon in a geopolitical context. And that, again, is a problem. So what Ursula said was, when you have a business deal and you agree to a terms of engagement when it comes to trade, you expect both parties to adhere and to obey to the terms of engagement of trade. You don't expect one party to unilaterally change those terms post facto, once having agreed to a certain tariff rate. So I think countries are beginning to realize that, look, America cannot be trusted, Trump cannot be trusted. And the reason why Carney's speech, got the kind of traction it did is he's the first Western leader, an ally of the United States, a neighbor of the United States, and let me put this absolutely bluntly, a white Western leader who basically, punched through this whole edifice called the rules-based international order. There is no rules-based international order anymore. What we've seen over the last 75 years, since the end of the Second World War, that system is now out the window. I mean, look at what he's doing with the Board of Peace. It started off with Gaza, but it's essentially what Trump is trying to build is a cozy little club which is an alternative to the United Nations.
Yes.
So Carney, read it as he saw it, and he bluntly put it out there for the whole world. And obviously, Davos is the talk shop of the world. It's where the world's elite gather every year and discuss strategy and ideas and all of that. And he was telling a room full of those most powerful men and women in the world that, look, we're all just, being played. We're all just being made idiots out of because one man has come and decided he's going to append everything. He's going to throw the whole system, the baby in the bathwater, and we have to live with the consequences. So I think it was basically a lot of, as is the show name, it was a lot of plain speak by a white Western leader, and now the rest of the world is waking up to it.
Yes, a lot of realism as far as his speech is concerned. I just want to quote a couple of lines. He said, "Call it what it is, a system of intensifying great power rivalry where the most powerful pursue their interests using economic integration as coercion." He said middle powers must come together, must act together, because if we are not at the table, we are on the menu. And I think nothing could have kind of typified what Trump is setting out to do to every country that doesn't bow to his whims. Let's also listen to this report coming in from Davos from my colleague Chandra.
I'm coming to you from outside the USA House here in Davos. There is significant security build-up, but on this side of the road, there is a big build-up of people, and I was just asking them, what cause they are talking about. So they're talking about the conflict in the Rojava region in northern Syria, and they want the US to intervene to bring an end to that conflict. So the gathering that you see here represents people impacted by the conflict in the Rojava region in northern Syria, and that's what they are talking about. We are outside the USA House, and the Trump delegation is staying at the Belvedere Hotel, just 500 meters from here.
All right. The stage is set. Trump has arrived in Davos, is set to speak very soon. The big question is, given the tone and tenor of the speeches we've heard from whatever European leaders we've heard so far, I mean, French President Emmanuel Macron also gave it back to Donald Trump in many ways.
Yeah.
The other big question is what happens to NATO? Is NATO future really in the doldrums now, if not completely blown out of blown out to pieces?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look, the whole military edifice, the whole security architecture post the Second World War was premised on American security guarantees, that America will take care of Europe's security. So Europe didn't really build massive armies, other than Britain, of course. Germany doesn't have such a large army, neither does the French do. But the other smaller European middle powers have not really built these massive armies simply because they were underpinned. Their security was underpinned by America, because America was the decisive factor in the Second World War, and America sort of took it upon itself that they will be the military preeminent power, right? So even during the Cold War, the countries that were in Western Europe, their security was underpinned by the United States. Today, Trump is basically saying to Europe, you can fend for yourself. I mean, America is no longer going to take care of your security interests. So which basically means one thing, that countries like Germany, France, Spain, Italy have to go back to the drawing board, have to raise their military budgets. It was less than 2% of GDP until Trump came along. Now they're promising it to increase it to 3.5%. I suspect they might even have to take it up to 5% of GDP. All of these countries are now having to realign their resources at a time when there is huge pressures on public debt and deficit, on a lack of movement of people. You're seeing the whole immigration debate across Europe and even in the United States. At a time such as this, if they have to spend 5% of their GDP on building the military, that is just going to drive a lot of European countries to near bankruptcy, if not bankruptcy. So I think this is a moment of truth for Europe. First, it was Russia 4 years ago where they came and, they basically invaded another European country. Of course, you can go into the merits and demerits of why Russia did what it did. But this is even bigger than that threat, because your main security guarantor is basically saying that we couldn't care less for you.
Yeah.
So then what do you do?
No, but Zaka, you know, the reason why there is very little quote-unquote sympathy in India for what Trump is doing to European countries right now on the issue of Greenland, for example, or slapping tariffs even on quote-unquote allies on a day-to-day basis, even those who bowed down to him, is because when he was doing it only to China and Russia and India, not many of them were willing to speak up. They're only realizing that this is a threat now because it is closer to home now.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So there's no sympathy for Europe and the rest of the world. I mean, all of this grandstanding and preaching that they gave to India and other countries when the Russia-Ukraine war broke out, and this whole thing about, why is India not voting against Russia at the United Nations Security Council or in the General Assembly? They again gave lots of lessons about moral turpitude, etc. when the Israel-Gaza war happened, Israel-Hamas war happened. And again, India did not vote against Israel in any of the votes in the United Nations. So we heard a lot of lecturing from Europe. So there's no sympathy lost for Europe, no doubt about it. But think of it this way. I mean, if Trump can do this to Greenland today, what is stopping Xi Jinping from doing the same thing to Taiwan tomorrow? Because when that happens, that's in our backyard, that's in the Indo-Pacific. That is something that has direct security bearing for India. So this is not something that is going to happen in isolation. I think basically the world is now being divided into these great powers and their respective spheres of influence. So Trump is basically saying Western Hemisphere is America's. Nobody dare poke your nose into America's affairs, into America's sphere of influence. Putin can do whatever he wants with Ukraine. He wants to conquer it. He wants to kill 1 million Ukrainians. That's up to him. That's his backyard. That's his sphere of influence. And the only other country is China. So China can pretty much do what it wants. In fact, he said that in as many words in the New York Times interview a few weeks ago, that I've spoken to Xi Jinping about Taiwan. I would like him not to attack it while I'm in office. But who knows, if he does, then so be it. So basically, he's given a carte blanche now to Xi Jinping to do whatever he wants in Taiwan. So I think basically the world is getting ruptured into these colonial era monarchs and spheres of influence, and that is taking us back 75 years. I mean, the global order that was established was underpinned by security guarantees. It was underpinned by economic guarantees, that there is for whatever it's worth, a fair trading system, that there are no constraints for the movement of goods and capital. All of that has been, completely upended by Donald Trump in the last 1 year in office.
There's geopolitics, there's also territory concerns now, there is tariffs, and there is, as his aide Lutnick said at one conference at the WEF, is that globalization is dead. It hasn't served the US now, after all of the fruits that they've enjoyed of globalization. They say that it hasn't served them, so they don't want this anymore. So lots to question as far as what America is doing, but everybody is waiting for that Trump speech. It should be beginning in about 10 minutes of time. Stay with us. We'll be live on this on CNN News 18.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Salim, let's please allow other spokesperson their time.
I asked a three-temple question.
Who is he my teacher to ask questions?
I asked for three temples whether he knows. This has been a tradition for 1,000 years. More than 1,000 years, this is a practice. Now tell me, in Kaligamba, in Melmalayanu,